Stardew Valley, Among Us, Pokemon Go, Hollow Knight. All these games I just mentioned, we are built with the same language, C Sharp. This is a language designed not for the experts but for everyone. A language, more than any other, puts game development in the hands of ordinary people. This is the story of C Sharp, the language Microsoft built to compete with Java, and how it accidentally became the engine of the indie game revolution. To understand C Sharp, you need to understand the legal disputes. In the late 1990s, Microsoft had licensed Java from Sun Microsystems and built their own version called Visual J++. It was popular, it was fast, and it was about to become the center of a landmark lawsuit. Sun sued Microsoft in 1997, claiming that Visual J++ violated their Java compatibility requirements, that Microsoft had modified Java in ways that broke cross-platform compatibility, effectively creating a Windows-specific version of a language that was supposed to run everywhere. Microsoft settled, and then they made a decision. Rather than continue fighting over Java, they would build their own language. They hired Anders Hejlsberg, one of the most brilliant language designers alive and previously responsible for Turbo Pascal and Delphi, and gave him a simple brief: build us something better than Java. Hejlsberg delivered C Sharp, announced in 2000 and released in 2002 as part of the .NET framework. Now, C Sharp took the best ideas from C++ and Java, learned from their mistake, and built something cleaner than either. From C Sharp, it took performance and object-oriented design. From Java, it took memory management and automatic garbage collection that freed programmers from manually managing memory. And it added things neither language had: properties, delegates, and link, LOINQ, and an elegant syntax that made complex operations readable. C Sharp was designed from the beginning to be approachable, where C++ punished mistakes with memory corruption and cryptic crashes. C Sharp caught errors early, gave meaningful error messages, and generally tried to help the programmer rather than trip them. Microsoft built a world-class IDE, Visual Studios, around it. Autocomplete, debugging tools, integrated documentation. The experience of writing C Sharp was from the beginning significantly more pleasant than writing C++. Many developers can testify to this. For professional enterprise software development, C Sharp became enormously successful, used across banking, healthcare, government, and corporate software. But the moment that changed everything for gaming came in 2005, when Unity chose C Sharp as its scripting language. Unity launched in 2005 with a vision: make game development accessible to everyone. But accessibility requires more than a good editor. It requires a programming language that beginners can learn without spending years mastering memory management and pointer arithmetic. Unity initially supported multiple scripting languages, including JavaScript and Boo, but C Sharp quickly became the dominant choice. Its clean syntax, excellent tooling, and vast existing documentation made it the natural fit for developers of all skill levels. The effect was transformative. A developer who had never written a game before could open Unity, write C Sharp script, and have a functional prototype running in hours, not days, not months, not weeks, hours. This accessibility had a direct line to the indie game explosion of the 2010s. Eric Baron consigned a taught himself C Sharp specifically to build Stardew Valley. The language's approachability was a direct enabling factor in the creation of one of the best-selling indie games ever made. Inner Sloth built Among Us in Unity with C Sharp, a 3-person game, a game that reached 500 million players. This pattern repeated across thousands of games. C Sharp didn't just enable Unity. Unity used C Sharp to enable an entire generation of developers who might otherwise never have made a game at all. C Sharp's influence extends well beyond Unity and indie games. Microsoft's Xbox development ecosystem is built around C Sharp and .NET Xbox Live Services. The Xbox app and significant portions of Xbox gaming infrastructure are written in C Sharp. Xamarin, Xamarin, later acquired by Microsoft and rebranded as .NET MAUI, uses C# to build cross-platform mobile applications for iOS and Android, the same platforms that host billions of mobile games. ASP.NET, Microsoft's web framework, powers the back-end services of countless games, handling authentication, leaderboards, and matchmaking, and also in-game purchases. And in 2016, Microsoft made a decision that cemented C#'s future. They open sourced the entire .NET ecosystem under the MIT license. C#, once a proprietary Microsoft technology, became free, open source, and cross-platform. The language that started as Microsoft's answer to Java had become something much larger, a world-class open-source cross-platform development platform used by millions of developers worldwide. C# consistently ranks amongst the top 5 most used programming languages in the world year after year in every major developer survey. In fact, it's my favorite programming language, to be specific. But for Ezugo Studios audience, the legacy of C# is most visible in one specific truth: the indie game revolution, the explosion of small teams and solo developers building beloved games in the 2010s was enabled in large part by a language Microsoft built to win a legal dispute with Sun Microsystems, Stardew Valley, Hollow Knight, Among Us, Pokémon Go. These games collectively have been played by billions of people all over the world, built with a language designed to be approachable, to be learnable, to help developers focus on building their vision rather than fighting their tools. Anders Hejlsberg set out to build a better Java. He built a language that put game development in the hands of anyone who wanted it badly enough to learn. And the games that resulted from that accessibility, the ones built in bedrooms and sheds and living rooms by people who had no industry connections and no corporate backing, are some of the beloved games ever made. That's C# legacy. A legal dispute, a hired genius, a language designed for approachability, and a game engine that chose it. This is the story of C#. C# didn't set out to democratize game development, but when Unity chose it, and Unity chose accessibility, and developers chose Unity, a chain of decisions connected a Microsoft boardroom to millions of games that wouldn't otherwise exist. The next indie games that moves you, there's a good chance it was written in C#. If you've ever built something in C#, like, subscribe, and tell us what you've made. Thanks for watching, by the way.